So, good morning, good afternoon. It's now morning and afternoon and evening or wherever you. Um, oh, Jerome, you're not doing your job. Got to
Oh,
let
I'm in
people
there.
in.
I'm out in there.
You guys got to have to stay on Jerome's case. Tell him to stay on, keep an eye on that. All right. So before I start the class today, just a little, the class that we're doing this, what I'm doing. A lot of the artists kind of do it, but it's going to be in my own fashion. What I want to do is give an arrangement and then kind of teach you some of the things I did along the way. They use the features and what have you, and creating custom arrangements. Now, having said that, these instruments, small, medium, large, they all have great presets and arrangements. And if you play your instrument as much as I hope you do, um, you'll notice that there's a lot of great setups. When you go through presets, there's already great arrangements built into that. But what I want to do is kind of give you some custom arrangements and show you what I did along the way and kind of and some of the things you can do on your own. And I'm going to take you on a step by step. Before I actually start the class, I want to give you a little golden nugget for a future. But this song Ebb Tide, um, which has nothing to do with the class today, but I
Ah,
before I forget, I may down the road do this. But we were talking earlier years ago, the song Ebb Tide, you think about waves and ocean. So what they used to do is they used to take flutes and put a lot of sustain and do this little special effect to create the waves. So here is an example. Here is an 8-foot flute by itself. Just a nice little soft organ sound. And what artists used to do is they adjust a few things and then they go, ooh. And they'd create these little beautiful wave effects. Would you like to know how I did that? Coming up in future song of the months. Anyway, that's all you get for. But that's the song sounds like this. If you're not familiar with the title, sound familiar? Song Ebb Tide, beautiful song. But anyway, so what I'm going to do is I decided today to feature a song that I played many times, and I had a couple arrangements to choose from, and I decided to choose this one because many people have these setups, but I have some bonus setups for you today in case you do have them. And pardon me, I'm going to put my phone on airplane mode, so if it rings, my video won't get shut off. So I have my phone on airplane mode, so if it rings, my video won't get cut off there. Um, and so the song is Besame Mucho, okay? But I'm going to take you on a step by step. I thought this was going to be a clever class because I'm going to take you on a step by step on how I got to what I did and some of the features. A lot of people have the presets and they just do it, but there's the magic behind it. Magic meaning instrument, not me, what the instrument is doing. And so I'm going to play it two different ways today. The first way is the way I'm going to teach it. And at the end, for some of you, you're going to have the opportunity to have some bonus setups that this is another one of those I found by accident. And I featured it a little bit yesterday. But so what I'm going to do is play it like I normally would in concert. I usually play it nice and slow, but I'm going to increase the tempo a little bit and try it a little bit differently. So what I'm going to do is you're going to see the music here in a little bit, but here we go. Thank you. All right. So there's a couple things happening in that song, and some of it's very basic, simple stuff, and there's some hopefully some tricks along the way that I'm going to give you. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to attempt. I know some of you um, you're on a computer, and so what I'm going to do is in the chat, I will put the music, and let me find the file on my computer. I'll screen share it in a moment. And moving forward, what I'm going to do is I will, um, more than likely, you'll have these songs in the email. So let me do this. Besame Mucho, the music. Okay, so for those of you who have a computer, I put it in the chat. And I'm going to screen share it as well, just for a moment. And so now just a nod, a head nod. Jerome, do you see the music there?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes,
I was having some difficulty with
I
the.
never heard of it.
You never heard of Besame Mucho?
No, I was wondering what the title was. And of course, now that I got the title, I still don't know what it is.
Oh, have you heard the melody before?
Uh, it sounded a little familiar, but it's been years.
If you hear it sung the right way, it's Besame, Besame Mucho.
Oh, no, it's not sung that
No, I have never heard that.
Okay. Maybe Ricky Ricardo did it. But anyway, it's a beautiful Latin piece. It's a beautiful melody. It's popular by most. And there's some notes here. I put the song in the chat now, but by the end of the class, you'll have it either through the chat here. I'm going to show you how you can download it later on. This particular class will be posted early afternoon, as soon as the recording comes to me and I upload it. So you'll have access to it very quickly. Now, if you take a look at the music there, there's a few things, and you'll see that there are certain places that the numbers repeat. Okay? So the music, you have A1, 3, 4, and 6, and at the bottom 7, 8, 9, and 10. I'll get back to this in a minute. And then you see it again. You still see the second page there, folks? A4. Okay. So that's kind of the order of the song. Now, if you go to the beginning of the song here, you'll notice that it says play the entire song twice. Okay? So let me go through this part first before I go over the setups. Here's how the song goes. Now you see my little mouse there? My arrow? Jerome, you see the arrow there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's how we play the song. We're going to play it through as you see it. And when we get to this bottom page, go to the second page. And you're going to play it through. And then you're going to continue on. And then you're going to get to the end of the song. And at the end of the song, it says, basically, return to beginning and then play till you get to here. So when you get to the beginning, you play it through. And then you end. So that is one time through. All right? Then you're going to do the whole thing all over again. So let's do it again. Play it all the way through here. Go through here, continue through to the end of the page. You go back to the beginning, and then you play to here. Okay? Now, let me talk about the setups here. So, you can see the music here. So it might be better if you see it like this. So what I'm going to do is play the song all the way through. First page, go back to the beginning, and then I play to the end. Now, technically, if you do it the way it's written, that's one time through and the song is done with. But what I do is I play the song twice, and then I do the whole process all over again. Now, if you're looking at the music here, and you go back and you watch the video, when you go back and watch the recording of this, you'll have the music handy. Hopefully you have it by now. You could go back. Here's how the presets are. So the beginning is going to be 1. Okay? And then I'm going to play all the way through the second page. And I believe it says 2. So I do second setup. And I play all the way through. And then I go to the beginning. Then there's my third setup. Go ahead and let Larry in, Jerome.
I don't see Larry.
He's not going to have a good review when I do a quarterly review on.
I don't see Larry.
That's okay. I just let him in.
Okay.
All right. So let me start over. So preset 1, 2, third setup, end. Okay. I'm trying to look at the screen at the same time as I'm doing this, so hopefully my finger goes in the right place. Then I play the song again. Very close attention. 4, 5, 6, and end. Okay? Now, at the very bottom, can you see that?
Yep.
Am I on the right page here? I'm sorry. On the bottom of the first page, it says, repeat that part on the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th preset. Okay? Now that may sound a little confusing first, but when I get to it, that'll explain why. Okay? Now, so having said that, let me put up the setup that I did. Now this is going to be pretty cool, I think. Let me find the setup. There it is. Okay. Does everybody see the word Besame Mucho
Yep. We got
and
it.
A1 on there?
Yes.
Okay. So for the first setup, now I'm doing this 2 ways. I'm giving you step by step of how to set this instrument up to play this. And I'm going to provide the presets as well. Now you're going to notice something before you start writing down, because it's going to go away for a second. Watch this, gang. The first setup has the most writing in it. Now watch this. You see the picture there?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to keep going. I'll get to that in a minute. Now watch this. On the second page, there's not much else to do. The rest of it is easy. So here's what I did, is I turned on the instrument. First thing I did is I turned on the organ. And what's the very first thing I do? Students can unmute, see if you see it there. I want to make sure we're all together on this. First thing I do is I transpose it to
B flat.
B flat. Now you don't have to, but that's what I like to do. Second thing I did is I turn on dynamic keying.
What is dynamic keying?
Okay, now let me rephrase. Let me rephrase. Dynamic keying, or what is it called on the E series? Touch?
Touch control. Yeah.
Let me take a look. Keyboard touch.
I don't think I have that.
All right. All right. So a lot of the models have what's called a dynamic keying button. And to tell you which models, that's the A series, SU series, SE series. A lot of those models. The E series has the keyboard touch. What does keyboard touch do? It allows you to play the notes harder or softer as you press it. Okay, now most people avoid that feature, but for this song, it's strongly encouraged, and you'll see why in a little bit. Now, if you find yourself having difficulty with it, just keep it off. It's not the end of the world if you don't have it. All right? So I transposed, I hit dynamic keying. Now, what's the next thing that I do?
Category preset.
Okay, now let me stop right there. A lot of you have category setups or presets. On the instrument here, it's Latin 2. If you do not have a Latin category setup, you have a guitar sound somewhere in there. All right? What it does is it sets up the guitar. In this case, it sets up, you see where it says orchestral? See the guitar is Spanish? You see that? When I push Latin 2, I get the guitar Spanish. And I put in parentheses, you can also switch it to a guitar nylon jazz. Those are both great sounds. Here's the Spanish guitar. Oops, that's not it. Latin. Here we go. You hear that? Now, I'm going to hit that Latin guitar, and I'm going to scroll up to the nylon. What does it say? Guitar. Now, listen to the difference. They're very similar, okay? The solo sound, you want to put a pan flute on the bottom keyboard here, on the lower right. Let me take that off. So what you want to do is take and put a pan flute on the bottom. So what you're noticing is the first thing I'm doing is I'm choosing the sound that I want. So all I do is I put Latin 2. If you don't have a Latin category, put a guitar sound in your orchestral. And if you have the lower split, put a pan flute. And all you have to do is touch and scroll to flute or pan flute.
Could you please mute everybody? There's a lot of echo.
Are there? All right. I'll do that. How's that? That better? Oh, he can't respond. I muted you. Okay. So what I did is I put the flute, pan flute down here. So I have now a guitar and I have a flute, pan flute. All right. Now.
Robert,
Yes.
have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, when you're setting all these things, you set it from the beginning or you're changing it throughout your
No. Good
playing?
question. No, good question. What I'm doing right now is I'm showing you that if you had no presets and you wanted this nice arrangement for when you're doing this, this is how you would set it up first.
From the beginning?
From the beginning.
Okay, so you're
don't-
not moving your hands to change that
No,
button?
no. And that's why I'm doing it this way, is I'm setting
Okay.
it up first, because otherwise you'll have to do a lot of work while you're playing.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I don't know how I would do that.
No. You set it up before you play the song, all right?
Okay, because I see you moving your hand to touch buttons while you're playing as well.
Well, that's usually when I play, but what I was doing when I was playing earlier is I turned the volume down because it was pretty loud over here.
Oh,
So if
but
you see me
all the
you saw
time
me
you're
reach-
moving
Oh, when
buttons.
I play, yes. When I'm playing, yes. All right, so yeah, this is the first setup. So I'm going to leave it right there. You can write it down. You're going to get a copy of this later, and I'll show you how. All right?
Robert,
So yes.
before you go any further, this is Mary Ann. If you put set up Latin 2, you don't have to do the orchestra and you don't
No.
have to put the
When
solo.
if you have a Latin category number 2,
Yeah.
the orchestral sound is going to give you the Spanish guitar.
Right.
They show it up on the screen as guitar Spanish. Okay?
Right.
And then I put there, if you want to change it to, there's another option. Now, if you don't have a category Latin 2, everybody has a guitar sound on their instrument. And a lot of them have a jazz guitar or a Spanish guitar or something like that. But in the solo, not all of the instruments set up a pan flute. So you may want to go in and do that. Now, check this out.
Even though I got a number 2, I better put pan flute on too.
Yes, you may have to.
And what number would that be? Because there's several flute keys down there.
No, the pan flute and the solo. You would go to your solo and search through and find a pan flute.
Okay, I don't have a touch screen like you do. Mine is very simple.
I'm not on a touch screen. I'm just going over to the sounds, the orchestral, the right hand sound here.
Okay, let me go. I have to go in another room. Let me check it out.
All right, I'm going to keep moving here.
Okay.
All right. So basically, your orchestra, your solo, where you get all your sounds from your right hand, you want to set up a guitar on the upper keyboard and a pan flute on the lower right. The most important sound is the guitar sound because you're going to hear that the most. Now check this out, guys. You ready for this? This is pretty cool. If you follow the steps that you see on the screen there, the very next bullet points, you see there says turn off, tempo, turn off, turn off, turn off. Okay? It says turn on the rumba. So that's what I'm going to do. Check this out. So here is the rumba. All right? Now I'm going to play it a little bit. And so you're going to hear a bunch of stuff happening. Now you hear that? There's a lot of band going on there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is great. You could play it just like that if you want. So the first thing I did is I turned on the rumba. Now what tempo did I say to do? Between 80 and 110. I sometimes play it very slow, and sometimes I play it a little more upbeat. What I'm going to do is it defaults to 108. I'm going to just leave it there. Okay? What's the next thing do you see up in the screen for those of you who are muted right now?
Turn off drums.
Turn off your drums. Okay, so some of you have a drum volume or a drum button. Just turn the drums off. Now listen, I'm going to turn it on as I'm doing this. I'm turning down the drums. The drummer is now gone. The next thing it says to do what? Turn off the lower.
Lower sound.
Off lower.
Okay, now let me go there for a second, folks. I'm going to say this a couple different ways. Some of you have the tabs. There's a tab that says lower. Just touch that sound. Now listen. It cuts off the lower sound. Okay? Some of you don't have a lower tab. You may have just individual buttons that say lower. It may say your lower sounds. You want to make sure there's no chord sound in the lower. All right? Let me pull up the screen again. Make sure I got it right here. The next thing it says, turn off Orchestra Plus. Turn off Orchestra Plus. Now listen. Here's Orchestra Plus on. You hear there's a lot of band. Turn off the Orchestra Plus. Listen. Now all you hear is a guitar and a bass. What is the next thing it says? Turn off your auto bass. Okay. Now what do you hear?
Just the guitar.
So if you just do every step that I just showed you, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to do it very quickly before I move on. This is what it normally sounds like. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to very quickly turn off all of those things that I just told you to do.
It's the guitar.
That's all you hear is the accompaniment in the guitar.
Right, right.
All right. So when I play this arrangement, that's how I start off the song. You'll notice when I showed you the notes that most of the work was done. Now, let's talk a little bit about arrangements for a second before I go further. There's several methods that a lot of the artists do when they play an arrangement. Sometimes they do an arrangement where they start off big introduction, and then they taper it down. And then as they play, they gradually build, and they build. And then in the middle of the song, they maybe taper it down, kind of mellow it out. And then they finish big. Okay? Sometimes they do what I'm doing. They start off very simple, and then gradually build, and gradually build, gradually build, gradually build. That's the method I'm showing you today. Okay?
So you added the instruments that you took out at the beginning.
Yeah, basically what I did, which is pretty clever, is I put it on like I normally do. I chose the sound that I wanted, I chose the rhythm, and then I said, I'm going to turn everything off that I can. I can't turn everything off, I won't have anything. And I left just one musician. Now, as I play the song and I demonstrate to you, you're going to notice, you're going to see how I just start adding some of those little elements as I go, and it builds the song. All right?
That's when
We're
you're
gonna-
starting to touch buttons that I was saying.
No, I'm going to do it on the preset
Adding.
here. Nope. You saw me
No.
turning it down. No,
Oh.
I'm using presets. Okay? I'm going to show you that.
Oh, I got,
You'll see. Now, you're going to find that most of this class is going to be just on preset number 1. The rest of it is like, okay, you could turn this button off, you could do this, but I have it on presets as well. Now, there's one little extra element in here. Here is the Latin guitar sound you normally get. And it sounds good just as it is. And if I play the song from there, sounds nice, right? But that's not how you heard it. How you heard it was like this. Now, do you hear that guitar? You hear it kind of echoing?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, now this is I'm going to say this right now. This is optional because not everybody has this. And I don't want you to think if you don't have this, okay, I can't make this song sound good. It's not the case. It's just kind of an extra if you do have it. Okay? Now, what I'm not going to do is spend a lot of time on it, but I'm going to show you. You can go back to the video and watch it. You're going to have the handout, and it's going to tell you what to do. Listen to the flute, the pan flute. You hear that echoing? There's a lot of echo, delay. Okay? The trumpet sound. Listen to the trumpet. You can kind of hear it echoing. Okay? And what I did is I used the feature and the instruments have. Let me let Michael M in. Now I'm going to screen share this. Take a look at this page here. Now tell me if you can see the 4 pictures here.
Yeah. Yes.
Here's what I did, and I did it step by step for you. So if you are doing this setup as you see it on the page, here's the secret. Just go step by step as you see it. I did this like 20 times yesterday. I wanted to make sure that if someone had this piece of paper and they set this up at home and they didn't have a presets or anything built in, that they would they'd be able to get the same effect. So the first thing it says is touch effect. You see it there?
Touch what? Step 1, touch.
Yeah, see on the screen?
Very touch. Yeah, very.
See here? Do you see
Yeah,
this
very.
here?
Yeah, effects. I see effects.
Okay, so
Yeah.
for those of you who have the touch screen, go to Features, page 4, and you touch the Effects button. Okay?
Oh my goodness. Okay.
All right?
Getting
Now-
complicated. uh,
Now, if you go to the second over here, it says Touch Orchestra 1. All the things I have selected. And then this, look at this here, folks. This is how you want to set this up.
One, two, on.
All right? Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. However, you'll have the handout and you have the video. So if you have a touch screen and you want the same effect, just put on these sounds. Now,
Oops.
here's this one setup is going to give you this, folks. Okay? You hear that, how that sounds? That's the very first part of the song that's happening. Now, there's a couple things that you need to understand. Look at the music. Look at the notes. All right? You see the notes? You see the notes there, D, D, D? This is what it's telling you to play it. Now, if I did it as I saw it written, this is what it would sound like. That's okay, but here's how I like to play it. Ready? What do you notice is different in the way I'm doing it?
The double time.
Well, actually,
Not here.
let me give you a very, very professional, musical, educated word here. You ready? I'm playing it choppy. I'm playing a guitar sound. Have you ever seen a guitar player play? The way they play, this is why I have the touch feature on. When you play the guitar, if they tried their best and they try to play those notes at the same volume, it's impossible. Because a guitar sound, sometimes playing it harder, softer, it gives it the personality of a guitar. So
Kind of like staccato.
this is why I have that touch or the dynamic feature on. So as I play the notes, I can kind of get a true guitar effect. This is one of those songs where I tell a lot of people, play it wrong so it sounds right. And what I mean by playing it wrong, it means don't play if you play it as you see it, it's going to sound good. It sounds beautiful, and if you like it that way, play that way. But if you have one of these hands where maybe you're a little choppy sometimes, this is actually a good time where it's going to work in your favor. Watch. Now, if you had the music in front of you, you'd find that I'm not playing it nowhere close to the way it's written. I mean, I'm following the notes, but I'm not playing quarter note, half note. I'm kind of playing the notes. I'm adding. So instead of, I might do this.
Is it like staccato?
It is. See? It is staccato. Well, that's actually the official word. I knew it was something like that. I called it choppy. Because most people could relate to that, to the word choppy.
Ron does that. That staccato stuff.
But you see how I'm just kind of playing the notes as the way it just sounds good to me. So
Sounds
yes,
Spanish. Sounds
Huh?
a lot Spanish, more.
yes. Now that's just the
More
first
genuine.
setup. That's just the first setup, guys and gals. Better be politically correct here. That's just the first setup. You know, notice when I gave you that handout up there, there was a lot of steps in the beginning. Sometimes when customizing arrangement, a lot of the work is usually done on the first setup. Now the second setup, the third setup, the fourth setup, a lot of those just become easily. Now, Cecilia, if you do the rest of the setups, and everybody, if you do the rest of the setups manually, it's easy to do actually. If you set them up in advance, it's easy to do. But the way I did this arrangement, because a lot of times when I'm playing, I'll have one setup, and as I'm playing, I'll do one button here, one button there, one button there, and it builds. Okay, now let's go to my handout here. Let me show you. So look, that one page was all the first setup. Now the second page is the rest of the song.
Wow. Wow.
Okay.
So you pre-program each setting, A1, A2, A3 to have all those that you're showing there.
I do. I
You
did.
just touch A1, A2, or 3 through 10,
Exactly.
depending
So
on
what
where.
I did is I programmed them first. But if you look on there, if someone doesn't want to go through the hassle of programming them, look at the steps. It says on the second preset, just turn off Orchestra Plus and play the pan flute on the right. Now, how hard is that? 2 buttons.
It's easier to touch A2.
It is, and you're correct. But the point of this is I did this arrangement so that some people don't have presets. So if you don't have presets and all you had to do is reach up and turn off Orchestra Plus or turn it on, it makes it a little easy. Now listen, I'm not going to play the whole song. I'm going to go to bits and pieces. Here's the first setup. Okay, that's first setup. What does setup 2 say? Turn on Orchestra Plus and play pan flute on the bottom. And now listen closely. Just listen closely. Here we go. Here's number 2. You hear that nice little, that's what turning on the Orchestra Plus does. It says play on the lower right. Now, again, pan flute. Think about a pan flute. You're blowing into the flute, or pan flute is, it looks a little different than regular flute, but you still have to blow into it. Have you ever heard a pan flute when they're playing and they just have this nice, good, clean sound where sometimes you hear a little bit of a, for lack of a better word, spit. You hear a little extra breath. This is what's cool. If you have the dynamic keying on and you're playing the pan flute, and if you tap the note gently or just very staccato, very choppy, staccato, sorry, Sue, I got to say the right word here.
It's John's word, not mine.
That's the real word. If you play it very staccato-like, you almost get that real true pan flute.
Melancholy, South American
Yeah.
music, the flutes.
And that's what I use with that. And that's all I did on the second setup. On the third setup, check this out. Boy, I did a lot of work here on the second setup to the third setup. All I did, here's the second set. Now here comes number 3. All I did was turn on the bass. That was it. Number 4. Now I switch gears, but it says right there, number 4. I switched to a trumpet, a lead trumpet. Oh, that's a lead trumpet. Sorry. I guess
That's a heavy trumpet.
that's a very heavy trumpet, a lead trumpet. No, it's a trumpet lead. Now, some of you have an actual sound on your instrument. It'll come up trumpet lead. Some of you just maybe have a trumpet button, okay? That's the one you want to use, or just a trumpet. And again, optional. Look on the right there. If you're going to the effects, I took a picture with my phone and those screens, so if you can kind of see it, that's what it says to do, all right? You don't have to do it if you don't want to. So on the 4th setup, all I did was put a trumpet and some strings, and you'll see it says volume at 70%. Now watch. Here's the 3rd setup. I'm going to go to number 4. Listen closely. Look at my hands, folks. I'm playing a trumpet. What did I say about the guitar? Play it.
Auto.
Staccato, choppy,
Love
add a
it.
little extra. It's okay. It gives it personality. The trumpet, you're going to do the opposite. You don't want to do this. It's going to sound, very important phone call. It's going to sound weird if you play the trumpet, on the other hand. I'm doing it totally opposite. I actually hold the notes. Now, look at the music, and you tell me if I'm playing a lot of those notes there. Let's see here. Where's the music? Where's the music? Okay, ready? You see the music up there, okay?
Yeah.
The head nod? Okay, watch.
Yes. Yes.
So if you notice, when I play the song the second time around and I have a trumpet sound and that strings combined, what I like about the strings with the trumpet is it smooths out the brightness of the trumpet sound. Usually it's like this. If you put strings, a nice little touch. It just kind of smooths it out a little bit. But you've noticed the trumpet sound, I play it a little bit differently. I'm holding the notes, especially when I have notes like this. D, 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 D. See all those Ds?
Mm-hmm.
I may hold that D note all the way through when I'm using the trumpet until I get to the next melody note. And you
Oh.
want to know something? If you ever get a chance to watch closely at some of the hands, at some of the artists when they play, when they have like the string sounds and things like that, you'll notice they do that a lot. Strings, those solo instruments, especially when you have a lot of notes being played, sometimes they'll hold it with the background going on. It almost fools the ear, makes it sound like you hear the melody being played. But that's the music part of it, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, check this out. If you want to write this down, and I'll put it in the chat too, and I'm going to make sure everybody has this within a couple of hours. Okay, so I should have up there, you'll see, oops. Why is my screen share keep going to that? All right, so it, excuse me for a second. All right, do you see A2, A3, A4, folks?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to leave that up there for a minute, and I'm going to explain it. So on the fourth preset, basically, back at the beginning, I just put on a trumpet lead with some 8-foot strings. And then when I get to the next part of the song, I just turn on drum variation. Now I want you to listen to it. This is number 4. Now listen closely. Here's number 5. Ready? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, A5. You notice it sounds like there's some castanets coming in and so forth. Well, what happened is when I turned on the drum variation and the alto style, that's what I got. It says there I can, adjust the string volume so a little bit. But listen, here's number 4. Here's 5. Listen. So not a big difference, but enough to make the arrangement sound a little bit different. Number 6, all it says was add 16-foot strings. Ready? Here we go. I'm going to play the last part of number 5. Listen to number 6. Here it comes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Now, did that sound a lot bigger?
Yes,
It did.
yes. Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, I'm going to leave that up there for a few seconds, and I'm going to switch to the music. All right. If you want to write this down, the 7th preset, you turn off 16-foot strings. The 8th preset, I turn off drums. The 9th preset, I turn off the bass. And then the 10th preset basically is the same as the first preset. Okay? Now, in a class like this, I'm going to strongly encourage to go back and watch the video on some of this and have the handouts, because when you get to the places I'm going to tell you can download this, you're going to download this and then have your music handy and taking notes. Now, I'm going to switch to the music for a second. Now see where it says 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay? Now let me bring up the music. Everybody see the music all right there? Okay. See where it says 7, 8, 9, and 10?
Yep.
Okay, so when I'm playing the song and I am done, at the very end of the song, let me see if I can do it. Okay, so here's the second page. When I get to the very end of the song,
Oh.
here we go. What I do is I play this part right here, okay? And I play that ending and I repeat it each time. And what happens is I gradually take away this stuff that I added earlier. Listen.
So you do 4 times repeated those same notes,
Yeah,
doing each one A7, 8, and 9, and 10 at the end.
exactly. Because those
That-
setups were designed to take away, listen to the background without me playing the melody. Here's 6. Let's listen. 6, 7.
So it lowers the volume too as you
It
play.
lowers
It
the
goes,
volumes, but it's really what's happening is it's taking away some of the background. The background, I'm cutting back. It's almost like I start soft, I gradually go big, and then as I play this rest of the song, I go backwards. So it's like a peak. All right.
Mhm.
Now, here's a really cool part. Make a note of this. If you use this rhythm called the rumba/begin, if you turn on your instrument and you have this rhythm, here's the music. You see these notes right here? D, A, F, A, F, D, F, E, D, E, D, C sharp, D. You see that there? If you play the ending of that rhythm and you play those notes in the correct spot, and I'll tell you where to do it, those notes will actually follow the ending. You ever seen us play, we put the ending, and we kind of play along with it.
Yeah.
You see a lot of them do it, right? That's because they kind of know by hearing the background, they kind of know what notes to follow. Coincidentally, this finale, this ending, those notes follows that style. Now, you'll know if you play it and it does and it works, and then it works. Here's the trick. When I'm putting the ending on, okay? Your window, a lot of you have the window where it says, it'll say one, let's see, ending playing. Let me see here. Let me put it on. Okay, so it usually just says ending playing, right? Have you ever noticed that when you hit ending, your screen says ending playing? Here's the trick with this one. You can practice this one a little bit. Is on this style, when you put the ending on, the minute you see the ending playing, it's 4 beats. Then play the notes and it'll follow it. Watch. Here we go. Ending. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I'll do it with the full band so you can hear it. Ending. 1, 2, 3, 4. Doesn't matter where you do it in the song. If you don't use the setups and you just want to play with it, that style. Listen. Ending 2, 3, 4. Whoops. Don't hit the glide there at the end.
Robert, at the
Yes.
end of the song, if the organ is playing it, you don't have to play those
You
notes.
don't have to play it. You are correct.
Yeah.
It's just an option I'm giving today. Okay?
Okay.
And it depends on not, because believe it or not, Lowry organs have that rumba or begin on a lot of the rhythms, on a lot of the organs. And a lot of them are the same, and there's some that are slightly different. So if you try it and something doesn't sound right, then you just leave the ending. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay?
I have another question.
Uh-huh.
Well, going back to where it says set up and you put Latin 2, does that pan flute come on automatically? Because I do not have a button for that.
No, it does not. You have to search for what instrument do you have?
I have a legacy. I have a jazz
You have
jazz flute. That's all I have.
I think there's a pan flute in the Legacy.
I didn't see it. I went looking under orchestra.
Yeah, it'll say,
Under the letter P and not F. So if you're looking by the flutes, you have to scroll all the way down to the letter P.
yes. So go to P, the P's. So we're pianos and,
I don't think mine scrolls like that. It's very limited.
it does scroll.
It does?
I'd like to say it doesn't, so you have to upgrade, but no, it does. I'm up front
Okay,
with
I'll
it.
have to try
Yes,
that.
you
Okay, the
do.
window. Okay.
Yes, you do. And in fact, Sean lives near your area and he knows where it's at. So schedule a time. Listen, if there's any questions about like this, like do I have that sound on mine? I would encourage you to contact the personal assistants and find that out.
Okay.
And if you need a little extra help, because I know there's a pan flute on there.
Okay.
In fact,
All right.
I'm almost 100% because I think my original arrangement started on that model when I
On the
started.
legacy?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm still experimenting with it because I only had it a couple of months, so.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Rob, when you say turn on the 16 strings,
Uh-huh.
is that a tab that you turn on?
Okay, so I put on the screen there 8-foot, 16-foot strings. All right. Now, some of you have these yellow tabs.
Yeah.
Okay, 16, 8, and there's a 4. I didn't use the 4, but 16 and 8, that's where those tabs are. Now, if you do not have a 16 or an 8-foot tab button, because some of the organs don't have it, you may have to just combine a string sound with your orchestral section. Okay? And if you don't, if you stick to the two most important instruments in the song, it was guitar, pan flute was kind of an addition, and trumpet. Those were the three main instruments that I used for this entire song. What made this arrangement wasn't just the melody sounds. What made the arrangement was this. Everything happening in the background, in the orchestra. A lot of people think the arrangement has to be changing a piano sound to a saxophone, to a guitar, to a trumpet, you got to change all these sounds. Sometimes customizing the arrangement or making an arrangement has to do strictly with the band and a few sound changes. Now, here's something else if you want to make a note. A lot of people are going to look at me funny when I say this. But you remember up here when I said turn off your left-hand chord sound?
No.
Right here. You see it on the screen?
Turn on what?
See right here it says turn off lower sound?
Oh, turn off lower sound. I don't even think I put that on here. Turn off drums, turn off auto bass, turn off orchestra.
And turn off your lower sound, your left-hand chord. In the bottom keyboard here, in the very beginning, I turned off that chord sound. And you want to know something? I didn't turn it back on at all.
Lower.
Now, I did a class yesterday, and I kind of pointed that out. A lot of people make the mistake. I don't want to say make the mistake. Scratch that. Oh, my gosh, I'm recording this. I wonder if I can edit that out. Some people believe they always have to have a chord sound on in the left hand. Listen. Now, if I put the chord sound on, this is what you get. Even if I turn it down, it's just, for this arrangement, it's annoying. So watch. No sound. Now, I still have to play the chords of the song. Now, listen to number 2. No chord sound. The magic of this arrangement has everything to do with the use of the band and the style and changing the orchestra plus, the auto bass, all of those things that I put up there. In fact, what I'm going to do right now, in case you have a computer, is I'm going to, I'm going to put that handout so you have it, music, and the note.
Robert,
Yes.
if you turn off the sound, how can you make the keys still sound when you're playing to the left side?
That is a great question. All you're doing is turning off the chord sound that you're hearing.
The vibration, the continuing sound
Exactly.
ongoing, but
People
you're
call
still.
it the hum sound. People
Yeah,
call it
sometimes that is annoying
call it
on
the chord
songs.
sound. Some people call it the vibration.
Yeah.
I've heard it called many different things. So listen, this is without it. This is with it.
So it keeps going, the sound.
Exactly. Now, sometimes it's appropriate. In this case, I didn't use it at all. in the
Can you
entire
do that
song.
in other songs as well?
I do it.
So that thing doesn't go on
I
with the
do
same
it-
melody?
I do it. You'd be surprised how often I actually do it, and here's why.
I'm gonna try that,
Make a
because
note of this,
sometimes
gang.
it does annoy me. The same sound for
note.
every song.
Make a note of this, gang. The left-hand chord years ago for organists was designed to be the accompaniment.
Yeah.
Okay, so when organists played, because
So
we
it
didn't have
sounds more like a piano.
years ago, people didn't have backgrounds. So an organist, when they played, they had to do
Hold
do
on
their
to
own
the key.
accompaniment. Yeah, watch this. Now I'm playing it manually.
Like a piano.
Okay, now that's the accompaniment. But now we have accompaniments, and if you notice, when you put on a rhythm and there is a chord sound that it sets up, If you notice, it's typically pretty soft. That's done intentionally because the background is,
Dominates.
oh, I got Sean Maloney's here. He's going to show you how to get the presets in a minute. Sean, put co-host. The background is the accompaniment, okay? So in this case, the background is the accompaniment for the song, and I didn't want anything to do with the left-hand sound. Now, you still, again, I'm going to say this again, you still have to play the chords, even if you're not. Let me speed it up. You kind of hear the chord change in the background. I'm changing the chord. Okay, so you still have to change the chords because the band, when they're playing, they change based on what you do here. Listen. You hear the background change? The bass player that you hear, the chord and the band that's playing, they are changing based on what you are doing here. So you still have to play this even though you don't physically hear a sound or a hum or vibration, okay? Now, this has been recorded. Next month when I do this class, you're going to have the music in advance so you have it in hand. I wanted to do it a little bit differently today just because it's the first one that I'm kicking off. Next month, you're going to have the music in advance so you can be able to make notes and so forth. And we're going to take a minute, in just a minute, we're going to show you if you want the setups, how you can download them. Because this is the part that's actually trickier. Because if you have the handout and you manually set this up yourself, if you follow that sheet exactly as I typed it, you'll get the same arrangement. Now, you may have to take it a step further and save the presets if you want to do it on your own. But I also have the presets already done for you, so you could have them. And I have the song recorded as well. Now check this out, guys. The recording that I did uses the setups in the song. So if you listen to the recording and you look on your music and you follow it, you'll notice my presets do it exactly as I taught it today. And the reason for that is so that you can follow how I taught the class, all right, and how I said it in the beginning. Now, there's a bonus setup that you're going to get that I'm going to tell you about in a moment. But what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you how you can get the setups and the handout. And when I say I think it's going to be Sean.
I knew I'd get to do the fun part. Yeah.
Okay, well, because it might be easy as you get to it and I kind of explain it. So I'm instead of doing this
Sure.
stuff. Okay, so many of you know we use a site called Patreon, and it's patreon.com/Fletcher Music Centers. And I'll have Sean type that in there, okay? What I'm going to do is this particular class and setups will be the freebie because it has the instructions and we're recording this right now. So if you have trouble downloading and doing this stuff, at least you can go back and do it. Because Lowry, when they made the presets for these things, they didn't make it as easy as attaching like a PDF. You know, if I emailed you a PDF file, you could easily download it and attach it and open it up and so forth. The files on the instruments is a little bit trickier. So what I'm going to do is this will go on our Patreon site. Now, I'm going to use the example, Sean. When you go to our Patreon site, I think Ave Maria. Go to FletcherMusic.com/patreon.com/Fletcher Music Centers.
Okay.
And you should have a search option, yes?
Yeah, this is really cool. Here's what I do. Okay, if you want to find something specific, there's a really cool way to do that. If you're already a patron of us, it's easier. It's on the top. But if you're not, you can go to the bottom, which is what I'm going to do. There's a button that says see all posts. Okay, this is where it's really cool. You'll see something like this. If you're a patron, I think this is already at the top. You don't have to do what I just did. But if you go to this, write this down. This is really cool. If you click on this little more button here, you can see everything we do broken down by what's called a tag, which means he puts whoever taught it, he put their name. So you can look at all of Joni's classes all together, or all of, Carrie Price's, or anything on an EY series. If you look down here, you can see that. I'm going to go to where it says Robert Roman because I want to look at everything he's done. And if I scroll down a little bit, this is one example. I'm going to go to this example right here. Okay, can you see that on the screen, Robert?
Yes, I can. Did you?
This
put
is the
that
picture I selected for him. I told him this is the best one to go with. You look professional. You look great. So what he was going to talk about, or I can talk about either way, is on the bottom, it gives you all sorts of information, when we post certain instructions here. And anything you see underneath in blue, that means you can download it, you can click on it and save it. So any of these buttons that say P set, so you see the letters P set. Sometimes there's an E, sometimes there's an A. That's depending on what instrument you have. So if you have an A series, which one do you think you'll click on? A, yeah. So if you have an EX series, you click on the ones that say E preset, okay? So for example,
Stop right there for a second. Let me
Perfect.
very quickly ramble through this. A series is Prestige, Patriot, Sterling, Symphony, Liberty, Imperio. E series would be Inspire, Rialto, Grand Marquee, Marquee, Aria.
Uh-huh.
All right. SU series would be any of the SU series. Okay. So you're going to actually have, which is Legacy, Rhapsody, Stardust, Royale, Palladium,
performer, sensation, that's about it.
Okay. So I'm going to put, I actually have the original arrangement for the SU on this one. That was
Ooh.
another reason why I chose this song today. It's going to happen to have an arrangement on it for the SU. Now, now today, folks, what I'm going to do is go back to the site there.
Yep.
And let's see, scroll. Is there one with a paper attachment? PDF. Okay, so here's an example. It says PDF. If you click on it, you see on the screen there, it opens it up to that, and it puts it in your download folder. And then you just open it and print it.
Mm-hmm. So the print, you just go up to the top right, the little picture of a printer. If you want to save it to your computer, there's a little down arrow, which means download.
Okay. So anything that says PDF, it means it's a paper, basically, handout. What I'm going to do today, say it again.
I just said something you can print.
Something you can print. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to put both the music and the instructions in to Patreon's site tonight. And I'm just going to keep my fingers crossed that someone doesn't say, hey, you're not supposed to put music up there, but I'll do it for a very short time. Okay. Now, the trickier part is this, and I'm going to put these instructions in there. You'll notice in the instructions, it says how to download the presets. Now, if you look at the instructions, it says instructions. Basically, you're gonna download the one that pertains to your organ. When you click on it, it'll automatically download it, and it'll automatically put it on your downloads in your computer. Okay? So if you try to open it, you might get an error. I know, actually, you will get an error. It will, because you can't open up that file. It's supposed to be put on a USB stick. All right. So what he just did is you clicked AP set 1, I think. It downloaded it to the computer. So you have to know how to get the hardest part would be, if there's a hard part, is you have to know how to access your downloads on your computer. Okay. So as an example, what I did is I'm going to, when I download it, can you see that? What do you see on your screen there? Where am I? I'm trying to share something but doesn't want to share.
Yes.
Blasted computers. See, Myra, I'm blaming the computer.
I've got it on mine. I can show that too.
Okay.
Real quick. So let me just show. So for example, this is the fun part. This is the part everybody, kind of has trouble with because every computer's a little bit different, okay? So when you download things, it's important to know where it's going. So what mine did is it'll go to a folder. This is just what mine looks like. Like everybody's looks a little different. But mine, I just downloaded to the desktop. So it's just right on my desktop. A lot of people, it downloads to a folder called downloads, which on my left side here, that's what's showing right there. But what happens is when you put in a USB, you want to look for either my computer. If you have a PC, this will say my computer. If you don't, this is an Apple computer I'm using. It says locations. If I go down here, this is the USB I just put in. And in there, it already says Lowry. If there's nothing on there, you have to put a new folder and just title it Lowry. Doesn't have to have anything in it yet. This one has nothing. Well, let me delete that. There, it has nothing. Hopefully that wasn't important. But so I just downloaded it, and all I have to do now, go back to where I downloaded it, click on it, hold it down, and slide it. So I'm just holding it down and sliding it. Woo! And if I hold it over there, it kind of took me right to my USB and opened it for me. And now I just want to put it in here. Boop. And I am done, essentially. I can take out this USB if I want to.
Oh, wait, don't go up.
I won't. We can go back into it. I just wanted to show.
Go back to the download. Another way that some people, if they're a little bit, just say the word clumsy. With the
talking about me.
But if you go to the downloads, you can also right click it, and then you can copy.
Copy.
And then you go back to the USB.
USB.
The most important part is the USB has to have that Lowry folder.
Uh-huh.
You have to open that folder. And he's going to open it. And then you would right click and then paste. Now it's going to complain because it's already got the same file there, or does it?
Yep.
Okay. Now, if you have a USB, the best thing to do is take a blank USB. If you put it on your organ and do format, it'll automatically put the Lowry folder. But just make sure that your USB has the Lowry folder. Now, this is going to be on the Patreon. It's going to be on YouTube. This is probably going to be harder than setting up the organ because the setups is just push that, push that. So if you have a USB, learn how to do that, because every month I do this, or down the road, what I'm going to start doing is the instructors are going to start giving me the setups for some of the stuff they use for the classes. And when they do, I'm going to post it there. And then you're going to be able to put it on your USB and you'll have that information. Now, one other last thing I want to say, since this is recording, is I'm going to, when I take this setup, because this is the first Song of the Month class, I'm going to name it on the screen there. Like you saw, it's going to say 1. Next month, I'm going to name it to where it's number 2. When you put it in your instrument, it'll actually show up. The name will actually show up for you. Okay? So I would encourage you that if you want to practice saving these onto a USB stick, take a fresh, clean stick, start from scratch. And then every month that I do a song of the month, I'm going to put in another file, and I'll just progressively do the next number. 1. Next month, it'll be labeled number 2, like you saw on the screen there. The example will be number 2, okay? Number 3, and so forth. This part is a little, I'm going to tell you, it's going to be a little tricky at first, but if you have this video to go back to and you have some questions, don't hesitate to email me, okay? Be patient if I don't respond right away, but I will respond, okay? Depending on how many questions I get. Now, worst case scenario for today's class, if you go to the website tonight, when you get it, the handout will be there. So if you just click on the handout, you'll at least have it as well. And then over time, we're just going to do this consistently to the point where you can actually get the USB and you can just add it and add it and add it. And you'll have all these beautiful arrangements from not just me, but from everyone else. One last thing, and I'm going to close off today. This class went a little longer than usual just because we wanted to make sure you had that information. I'm going to put up there, make a note for those of you who have Sterling, Patriot, Symphony, Liberty, Inspire, Rialto, Grand Marquee, Marquee, Aria. I think I got all of those. These presets, if you load them in, when you load the presets in, if you push the B bank, okay, the B bank has additional presets that you can use. And it'll give you a whole different arrangement of that. A bonus. You're going to hear the arrangement in a minute. Okay? If you don't have any of the organs listed that I just mentioned, don't use the B bank, just use the A bank. And I'm going to put this all in the notes and everything, so when you see that, just read carefully. Okay? So, with that said, one other last announcement. It's very important that you know this, because tomorrow evening, folks, we have the amazing Jerome Johnson. Y'all know Jerome Johnson. If I could find it here. Where is it? Well,
Yay, Jerome.
Jerome Johnson is going to be performing a concert
6 o'clock.
at 6 p.m. Florida. We wanted to do an evening concert. The problem is you guys are all different time zones. So Arizona, you're just going to have to dim the lights. Let's see. Can you see that fancy thing there? Look at that handsome man there. Through the years with Jerome Johnson, and he's going to perform the music of his life that influenced him, that he loves to play and sing. And I hate to say it, folks, but I heard a rumor that Marianne was one of his favorite songs growing up. So he's going to play and sing Marianne. Right, Jerome?
12 times.
Just kidding, just kidding, just kidding. So join us. We're going to have a great time with that. Again, thank you for your patience today. I hope you learned something. I'm going to finish off with the bonus arrangement for those of you who have those models I mentioned. So here we go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for the class.
Thank you,
Enjoyed
Robert.
it.
Hope you
Thank-
enjoyed. And next month, I have a really cool class planned for you. It's not going to be as intricate, but it's going to be worth coming to. So I will tell you that. Thank you so much. Hope you
Okay,
enjoyed today's class.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Keep
I
playing
did,
music,
I
man.
did.
Mwah.
Do something.
So do
Bye.
we
Bye.
have to sign up for
Bye.
the Patreon? Do we sign up for the Patreon to get the